Right, friends. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a huge, shadowy forest. It's the kind that whispers secrets in the dead of night. The trees aren't just wood and leaves. They're symbols of the hidden parts inside all of us. You've lived a life of small victories, built on wisdom you've earned the hard way and good old-fashioned hard work. Then you feel this weird chill, a sudden wave of resentment from people you thought were on your side. Why do the smiles disappear? Why do the conversations get mean? And why do your friendships fall apart without explanation? It's like a storm no one can see has brewed in their hearts, and it's lashing out at you for no reason other than you being yourself. This, my friends, is the silent war you never see coming. It's a psychological battle based on the deep ideas of Carl Jung, that wise Swiss guy, whose insights have lit up the darkest corners of the human soul. As an American who's explored the canyons of the West, the busy streets of New York, and the quiet places within myself, I've learned from Jung's archetypes, his shadows, and his ideas about becoming whole. I see this not as random cruelty, but as the eruption of the unconscious. It's where envy, projection, and buried fears start their secret fights. Stick with me as we dig into this mystery. It'll change how you see every suspicious glance and every unexplained argument. And hey, while you're thinking about all this, I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from. Drop a quick note in the comments with your location, whether it's the prairies of the Midwest or a quiet spot by the coast. It connects us all on this shared human journey. There comes that important moment in life, one I've experienced way too many times on my own tough journey. From the boardrooms of Chicago to the dusty trails of Arizona. That's when you realize that the anger aimed at you has very little to do with what you've done, and everything to do with the dark, hidden places in other people's minds. You're left scratching your head, wondering why a friend suddenly acts like a ghost, why a coworker starts to undermine you, or why someone who admired you turns into an enemy overnight. At first, you beat yourself up, convinced you messed up somehow, dropped the ball in the game of life. But dig deeper, like Jung would want us to, and you'll find a truth as complex as the roots of an old oak tree. It's not your actions they're fighting against, but the shadow they've pushed down into their subconscious, refusing to let it see the light. The human mind, as Jung explained so well in his books on analytical psychology, isn't just a happy field of reason and goodwill. No way. Every person carries around a shadow, a storage room full of the traits we've rejected, the forbidden desires, the shame we've buried like old bones, and the fears we pretend don't exist. These are the parts of ourselves we can't stand, so we stuff them down into the unconscious, hoping they'll stay there. But shadows don't disappear. They wait, heavy as lead, silent as a predator, until something sets them off. And most of the time, that something is you, or someone like you, becoming the person who unknowingly represents what they've denied in their own hearts. Maybe your confidence shines a light on their hidden doubts, the kind that keep them up at night questioning their worth. Or your determination reveals the laziness they've covered up with excuses. Your kindness might poke at their inner cruelty, or your free spirit shows the chains they've chosen to wear like badges of honor. In that moment, they don't see the real you. They see their shadow dancing in your form, and it fills them with hatred. Hatred, jealousy, bitterness. These aren't caused by you hurting them, but by projections of their own unowned parts. This is why people can call you an enemy without you doing anything to them. They're not fighting your reality, but the illusion you've shattered in their minds. You become the mirror that forces them to face their true selves, and that's too much for them to handle. Instead of looking at their own demons, they attack the mirror, spreading rumors, sabotaging your efforts, or disappearing without a trace. They think if they get rid of you, the shadow will go away too. But shadows follow them everywhere, constantly demanding to be recognized. Understanding this changes your whole perspective. Like it did for me after years of being confused by broken friendships and betrayals at work. You stop blaming yourself for their anger. You realize they're not fighting you, but their own inner struggles. Repelled not by who you are, but by the echoes of the self they've rejected. You just provide the stage for their psychological drama to play out. Take the guy who makes fun of gentleness. Underneath that mockery is probably a shadow wounded by abandonment, longing for the tenderness he never received. Or the one who gets angry at poise. Their aggression hides a fragile ego where confidence feels like a threat. And the person who resents your freedom? Their shadow is chained by fear and the need for approval from others. When you shine brightly, you make their darkness more obvious. And many people would rather point fingers at you than look inside themselves. That's the danger of the shadow, as Jung warned in his explorations of the collective unconscious. It tricks people into believing their hatred is justified, when it's just a reflection of their own hidden selves. It's easier to lash out than admit your own flaws. Easier to tear someone down than take responsibility for your own lack of progress. Easier to criticize authenticity than dismantle your own facade. But remember, the shadow lives in you too, my friend. Just as you make others uncomfortable, they trigger your own shadow. The quirks you hate, the people who annoy you, the traits you criticize, all signs pointing to your neglected shadow. Denying it means stumbling around in the dark, constantly accusing others, constantly projecting. Embracing it starts integration, that Jungian quest to harmonize your darker sides. Other people's shadows will keep scheming in the background, twisting perspectives, fueling grudges. They might never see you as a mirror, not a threat. Never understand that their dislike comes from their own unhealed wounds. Their struggles remain hidden, their projections unacknowledged, their hostility confusing. But with clear vision, you can see through the facade, knowing that behind the hatred, the envy, the rejection, lies a shadow avoiding the light. And it's that shadow speaking, not their conscious self. Authenticity. That's a force as powerful as a wildfire sweeping across the plains. One of the most unsettling powers you can have. To live authentically, in Jung's view, is to stop wearing disguises all the time. To speak your own truth. To follow your soul's true direction. It's freeing for you, but it creates backlash, bitterness, even outright hatred in others. Why? Because authenticity isn't just about existing. It's a mirror exposing phoniness. And when you embrace your genuine self, you unintentionally take away the crutches others rely on to survive. So many people hide behind masks, carefully crafted personalities for applause, roles that protect their vulnerabilities, armor against the world's judgments. These become lifelines, carefully maintained to hide their weaknesses. But an authentic presence shakes that foundation, revealing the mask's fragility, making the constructed identity seem weak and temporary. So, authenticity seems dangerous. When you're real, you reflect back what they're missing, the compromises they've made, the truths they've silenced, the acts they've performed to gain acceptance. Your mere existence confronts them silently. They don't hear you're fake, but their subconscious senses a threat, triggering defenses that show up as dismissal, criticism, or scorn toward the truth teller. This explains why authenticity can be lonely. You wonder about the withdrawals, the coldness, the subtle rejections. It's not always your fault, but how your truth challenges their pretense. To them, you're unbearable. Not because you've hurt them, but because you're questioning the scripts they cling to. Think about how uncomfortable it is to meet someone who doesn't conform. Their defiance reflects your own compromises. The person who speaks the truth in a room full of silence calls out your cowardice, whether they mean to or not. The person who lives unapologetically, choosing freedom over approval, shines a light on your own chains. Authenticity naturally makes people uncomfortable, forcing them to look inward, something many avoid. But it's not arrogance or just rebellion. It's harmony, simply being without pretense. Yet this purity is powerful. Masks take effort, lies need to be supported, and images drain energy, while authenticity flows effortlessly, exposing others' hard work in being fake. So, some people quietly seethe at the authentic person, calling them naive or selfish, accusing them of arrogance or being weird. These are shields to belittle without changing themselves. Accepting authenticity means questioning your own falseness, which takes courage that's hard to find. It's easier to criticize the person who stands for truth than to escape your own self-imposed prisons. Authenticity also disrupts hierarchies. Systems thrive on uniformity, silence, and compliance. Families, jobs, towns depend on played roles and followed rules. The person who breaks the script disrupts things, proving that roles are optional and scripts are flexible. Those who depend on stability point fingers at the authentic person, when really, they're just revealing the flaws in the system. Yet authenticity does more than just cause anger. It inspires longing. Even those who resent you feel the pull of freedom, sensing in you the courage they lack. Attacks hide jealousy, a longing for the buried selves they've abandoned. Your presence reminds them of the lives they haven't lived, sacrificed for the sake of fitting in. For some, that's unbearable. Authenticity risks misunderstanding, judgment, and resentment, but it frees you from the chains of others' opinions, stops you from twisting yourself for fleeting praise, and lets you stand firm in the face of unrest. And maybe that's its real threat. It's contagious. The true self inspires others to question their masks, sparking change. This quiet revolution destabilizes illusions, stirs jealousy, and breeds antagonism. But it also plants the seeds of freedom in those who resist. Human interaction rarely comes down to what you see on the surface, much like the undercurrents in a powerful river that carve canyons over time without making a splash. Every conversation, every relationship, every shared silence vibrates with power, sometimes gentle, almost invisible, sometimes roaring like a freight train through the Midwest. These forces are always there, shaping actions, steering responses, influencing choices. The hidden power struggle isn't always about raw control. It's about influence, validation, the subtle desire to shape someone else's worldview. We like to think our relationships are based on pure affection, respect, or shared goals. But beneath those noble ideas lie subtler drives. One seeks validation, Another craves praise. Another demands submission. And some simply enjoy being in charge. These aren't announced, but they play out in how people treat each other. When warmth suddenly turns cold, fondness turns into conflict, or a friend competes for attention, it's often a sign that the hidden power balance is shifting. Relationships are rarely equal. Even intimate connections have someone who leads, someone who validates, someone who influences, and someone who yields. These roles change, creating tension. Someone who used to be in charge senses their control slipping. Someone who depends on your weakness feels threatened by your strength. Someone who thrives on your dependence gets angry at your independence. These subtle shifts cause resentment, not just from actions themselves, but from what they represent. A change in the hidden pecking order. Think about reactions to boundaries. When you set limits, it disrupts the equilibrium. The person who benefits from your compliance sees their control weakening, and their anger is directed at the loss of power, not the boundary itself. Or think about reactions to success. Your achievements remind some people of their own shortcomings, breaking unspoken agreements that kept you in a subordinate position. Relationships change, and fragile power structures crack. Even casual interactions reflect this. Who interrupts? Who gets heard? In groups, who takes the spotlight? Who fades into the background? In families, who defers? Who ignores? These may seem small, but they reveal the quiet rule of power in relationships. Resisting assigned roles creates friction. The hidden nature of power makes it easy to misinterpret things. You think someone dislikes you for no reason, when they're actually feeling threatened by your independence. You think your choices are disappointing them, when they're really showing you how little control they have over you. Hostility often reflects a disruption of hidden control, not a judgment of your character. Power isn't just about overt control. It's nuanced. Emotional manipulation, guilt-tripping, conditional affection, the subtle pressure of expectations. No shouting is needed. Influence is wielded through threats of withdrawal, conditional approval, and unspoken rules of connection. Stopping your compliance breaks the established order, and nothing fuels bitterness faster than the collapse of a hidden power structure. Conflicts are rarely about the surface issues. They're deeper power struggles, fears of losing control, fears of being overshadowed. People rarely say, "Your independence makes me feel less powerful," or "I can't control you anymore." They mask it as betrayal, arrogance, greed, or rudeness, veils for their lost control. Yet the craving for power isn't inherently evil. It's wired into us, stemming from a fear of chaos, a need to feel worthy, a need to cling to hierarchy for security in the midst of change. The problem is that when these desires are unacknowledged, they turn into unspoken demands, morphing into hostility toward those who don't comply. You can't always shatter these structures, nor can you stop the resulting grudges. But understanding them frees you from confusion. Stop taking their hate as a sign of your own flaws. See their projections as reflections of their own inner battles, not judgments of your value. Shifting power dynamics cause fragile egos to be fiercely guarded. We don't see others objectively. We see reflections of ourselves through them. Interactions mirror unspoken truths, wounds, and longings. Admiration signals our own aspirations. Disdain reveals our denied aspects. This mirror principle, central to Jung's concept of projection, explains sudden turns against you, not true reactions to you, but stirred up internal conflicts. By embodying suppressed traits, you reflect their lacks, evasions, and shames, something many find intolerable. They break the mirror through insults, resentments, and withdrawals, not because you've hurt them, but because you're highlighting their shadows. The person who mocks ambition, their jokes hide the pain of their own untapped potential. The person who hates confidence, echoes of their buried doubts. The person who despises freedom, rage from their self-imposed chains of fear and the need for approval. Hatred is less about you, and more about what you reflect back to them. It's unsettling because it shatters illusions. Authentic living, growth, and embodying denied traits strip away the comfort of self-deception. You reflect potentials, past desires, and feared truths too raw to handle. Rather than transform themselves by looking in the mirror, they project their unease back onto you. But mirrors work both ways. The annoyances, the unbearable quirks, the fierce condemnations all signal your own shadows. Loathing laziness fears your own need for rest. Hating arrogance craves validation. Intolerance of dishonesty mirrors your own silenced truths. Outward rejections echo inward. The truth of projection, unloading what you can't face, accuse others of selfishness because you fear your own. See arrogance because you long for superiority. Fear failure because you doubt your own worth. It's not always malicious, often subconscious, but it warps your views, turns mirrors into enemies, and makes reflections into targets. Awareness is crucial. Blind, you buy into the opinions of others, chase approval, fearing rejection, and misread hostility as proof of your inadequacy. Clear-eyed, you see that how people treat you reflects their own inner battles over your worth. Admiration reflects unclaimed potentials. Hatred reflects disowned shadows. Mirrors also attract relationships. Admirers see unlived possibilities in you. Your bravery awakens theirs. Your kindness stirs compassion. Your growth ignites their own evolution. Mirrors catalyze change, not just anger. Reflections help us reclaim abandoned selves. Yet not everyone grows when faced with mirrors. Some resist, deny, and attack. Relationships break, trust erodes, and antagonism rises. Conflicts are deeper than they appear, reflected truths that people aren't ready to face. Anger isn't about words, choices, or your being. It's about the pain of seeing oneself in another. This awareness builds resilience. Depersonalize rejections. View criticisms as data. Envy as proof of longing, and hatred as redirected self-loathing. Mirrors reveal the depths of connections, reflections, projections, and inner dialogues. So, mirrors challenge and invite. Challenge by targeting awakenings, and invite by revealing the truths of the givers through their reactions. Seeing others as mirrors gives you insight into yourself. Seeing yourself as a mirror helps you understand how people treat you. Envy sneaks in without fanfare, without admitting weakness, in pauses, fading warmth, and energy shifts signaling an unspoken change. Powerful yet hidden, envy corrodes relationships unseen. Few admit envy. Your success makes me feel small, or your poise highlights my lack. Pride prevents confessions of inadequacy, so envy hides in silence. Veiled praises sudden distance, and hidden grudges. It erupts unannounced. Praise turns to criticism, alliance turns to competition, and help turns to sabotage. It's as deceptive as apathy. Those who once cheered you on become silent, stop reaching out, and lose their smiles. A heavy silence, untraceable to betrayal. Envy creeps in gradually, like a shadow, fueled by comparisons. It's insidious, thriving on proximity. Strangers admire, but those closest to you sting the most. Friends, peers, and family are quietly consumed, not by your harm, but by your progress, shining a light on their stagnation. That light exposes unlived potentials. Discomfort leads to silence, nursing wounds and fueling unspoken hostility. Envy twists perspectives. Innocent words seem arrogant, efforts seem lucky, and boundaries seem selfish. Distortions born from envy cloud their vision with fears, not truths. Unspoken, envy poisons, festers, deepens. Rarely do they say, "I envy you." Instead, you see subtle undermining, withheld praise, and secret wishes for your failure, just to feel relief. The silence is charged, not celebrating growth, denying acknowledgement, quietly craving your stumbles. Envy lives in you too. Deny it, and you blind yourself to your own shadow. You've felt stings at others, freedom, allure, triumphs, and bravery. Unadmitted, but there. Unfaced, you project, condemning the qualities you secretly crave. Envy reminds you that you compare yourself to others, measuring your worth by your surroundings. Those close to you surpassing you feels like a threat to your identity, as if your success diminishes theirs. But envy is a mirror, not reflecting the other person, but your unlived self. The key is clarity. Hostility stems from your light, not your flaws. Being criticized for your strengths rather than your weaknesses. Your strength wakes their insecurities. Your excellence exposes their avoidance. Your authenticity unmasks their pretense. There's no confession. Silence breeds resentment. The danger lies in its invisibility. You think you're supported, but you find people secretly hoping for your downfall. You think they're friends, but you learn they're secret rivals. It erodes trust, corrodes relationships, and flips admiration into animosity. Recognize it and stop misreading the signs. Don't shrink to avoid triggering them. Don't beg for reasons for their withdrawal. And don't doubt your worth because of their coldness. See envy as a shadow, not proof of your failure, but an echo of your unclaimed potential. Silence, surrounding your victories, speaks louder than cheers. Unspoken envy is a confession words can't express.